First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB 17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dewbs & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it is 6 o'clock. I'm Nana Akwe in for Michelle, and you're watching Dewbs & Co. Now, coming up in the next hour, the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has announced the biggest overhaul of legal migration rules in 50 years, with high earners and public workers set to get priority, and Boris wave migrants now to wait 10 years for permanent settlement, and nearly 500 new migrant universal credit claims are processed every day. That is as the government weighs up increasing golden goodbye payments for illegal immigrants up to £20,000. How much money is Britain wasting? Public confidence in the UK economy has also hit rock bottom, with 0%, yes, that's what I said, 0%, saying that it is in good shape. So is the budget doomed before it's even announced? And transgender people could be banned from single-sex spaces due to their looks. Is this just common sense? And on my panel tonight, Reform UK councillor Layla Cunningham and also former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. But first, let's get your latest news headlines.
Good evening. The top stories from the GB newsroom. Chaos at the heart of government and a failure to take COVID-19 seriously cost 23,000 lives in the first wave of the pandemic, a public inquiry has concluded. The UK COVID-19 inquiry says the government response to the pandemic in March of 2020 was too little, too late. The inquiry also says lockdown could have been avoided altogether if steps such as social distancing and isolating those with symptoms had been introduced earlier, adding toxic and chaotic culture in the UK government affected decision-making, saying that then Prime Minister Boris Johnson failed to tackle it. The Home Secretary has unveiled one of the most sweeping rewrites of the UK's migration rules in decades, warning that years of rapid arrivals have destabilised communities. Shabana Mahmood says settlement will no longer be automatic, with tougher checks, longer waits and new expectations on English, tax contributions and criminal records. It means almost 2 million people who migrated legally to Britain since 2021 will now need to have been in the UK for 10 years instead of 5 in order to be considered for permanent settlement. But the opposition mocked the announcement, with Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp joking that Labour had simply borrowed Conservative policy and rebranded it as their own.
There is much in this statement I support, not least because so much of it is so familiar. So I am delighted, Madam Deputy Speaker, to see that the Shadow Home Secretary, upon arrival at number 2 Marsham Street, has got out the copy and paste function on her laptop and started copying and pasting Conservative policies.
Shabana Mahmood hit back, insisting the Tories lost the right to lecture anyone after presiding over record migration and what she called an open border experiment.
Given their current track record, they barely have the right to ask questions, let alone propose solutions. Like settlement, it's my view that you have to earn the right to offer solutions, and I would say to him one way of earning that right would be to apologise for what the Tories did first and foremost.
In other news, the government is under fire over Britain's defence readiness after the sighting of a Russian spy ship off Scotland and claims the UK's defences are still dangerously exposed. Shadow Defence Secretary James Cartledge blasted what he called Labour's glacial pace on strengthening security, warning the Yantar's laser attack on RAF pilots marks a serious escalation. But Defence Minister Alistair Cairns hit back, accusing the Conservatives of leaving Britain's armed forces decrepit. He said the Yantar will not go unchallenged, with the Navy and the RAF tracking his every move and warning Russia that any attempt to interfere with UK undersea infrastructure would be met with the firmest response.
The Yantar has once again been operating in and around the UK's EEZ for the second time this year. During this time, she was continuously monitored by Royal Navy frigate HMS Somerset and the RAF's P8s. We will ensure that the Yantar is not able to conduct its mission unchallenged or untracked. But this has not been without difficulties.
After one of the most shocking police abuse cases in UK history, David Carrick has been jailed for life again, this time with a 30-year minimum term for molesting a 12-year-old girl and raping a former partner. The ex-armed Met officer, already serving dozens of life sentences for 71 previous sex offences, was convicted of 5 indecent assaults on a child in the late 1980s and rape and coercive control against a woman he terrorised for years. Jurors saw a handwritten confession signed Dave and heard how his later victim said he ruined her life. Prosecutors called him a manipulative predator who hid behind his warrant card. Detectives say these new convictions finally give his victims a voice and warn that if his confession had been acted on back in 1990, many more women could have been protected. The UK has shivered through its coldest night so far, with temperatures sinking well below freezing across all 4 nations, down to -6 in Cumbria and -5 in Wales. Yellow warnings for snow and ice stretch across much of the country. There's an amber alert for North Yorkshire, where up to 25 centimetres of snow could fall on higher ground. Forecasters say some could even see thunder snow later, rare winter thunderstorms with heavy, fast-falling snow. Around 100 schools in northern Scotland are closed as snow and ice bring further disruption across the area. And finally, Stone Roses' Gary Manny Mounfield has died at the age of 63. Mounfield was a founding member of the legendary group and later joined Primal Scream. Manny's bandmate Ian Brown led the tributes on X, writing "Rest in peace, Manny." Oasis singer Liam Gallagher posted, "In total shock and absolutely devastated on hearing the news. My hero, rest in peace." And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more from me in an hour. It's over to Nana.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good evening and welcome to Dewbs & Co with me, Nana Aquare. Now, joining me until 7, my panel, Reform UK councillor Layla Cunningham and also former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Now, as ever, this show's nothing without you, so please send us your thoughts, your comments, gbnews.com/your say, and I'll do what Michelle does and read them out throughout the programme. But let's kick things off with the Home Secretary, because she's announced one of the biggest overhauls of legal migration rules in 50 years, declaring that permanent settlement in Britain will no longer be automatic.
Settle in this country forever is not a right, but a privilege, and it must be earned. As a result of the unprecedented levels of migration in recent years, 1.6 million are now forecast to settle between 2026 and 2030, with a peak of 450,000 in 2028. It's around 4 times higher than the recent average. That will now change. As this government announced in its immigration white paper, the starting point for settlement will move from 5 years to 10.
Yes, and under Shabana Mahmood's plans, migrants would also face tougher checks, longer waiting periods and stricter requirements on English language, tax contributions and criminal records before they can remain in the UK long term. Frankly, all of that seems pretty obvious. I mean, why would you have somebody stay if they've got a criminal record? And obviously, if they can contribute more, then they should get sort of certain advantages. It all makes sense. But let's see what my panel make of that, Leila Cunningham and also Bill Rammell. Bill Rammell, it's sort of your party, Labour Party. This sounds very reform to me.
No, it's about getting control of the mess in the immigration system that this government inherited. You have to pinch yourself, however, to recognise that Shabana Mahmood has only been Home Secretary for less than 3 months. She has really got a grip. She's bringing forward probably the most sweeping reforms to asylum that we've seen in modern times, making it us a less attractive destination for people to claim asylum and easier to deport people. Yeah. Well, so, for example, the extension for indefinite leave to remain until you can claim citizenship, the maximum will be 20 years. That makes it the longest period in Europe. That makes us less attractive for people to come here.
But these are the legal migrants, right? And for the legal migrants, surely you want to be attractive to the kind of people that you want to draw to your country legally.
No, absolutely. And
so the legal migrants...
legal migrants are given quicker routes to gain citizenship than those who haven't got the skills that we need or who have come here illegally. And I think this goes with the broad thrust of what the public want, to see a government that is getting to grips with the system. It also needs to be put within the context, and we've still got a challenge on the boat crossings, but actually net migration, and there's been some figures out this week, is now down to 345,000 from the 990,000 that it was under the Tories. And projections say by next year it'll be between 70 and 170,000. Now, you know, that potentially gets it below net migration in the tens of thousands that the Tories have repeatedly talked about wanting to achieve.
But only a very short while ago, I can remember your great leader, Sir Keir Starmer, calling some of these policies racist policies.
Look at what's in the Labour manifesto. There were specific pledges about getting a grip on the asylum and immigration system, controlling numbers. Yes, we need some legal migrants to come to this country, but we want to tackle illegal immigration. And I think these proposals are a very strong set of proposals to try and achieve that.
All right, Leila Cunningham.
So Shabana Mahmood did say it's a privilege to settle in Britain. So why are we still housing failed asylum seekers in hotels? Why haven't the criminals been deported if it's so easy to deport those failed asylums, as she says? Why are we still housing them? Why is Britain still picking up the tab for people who came illegally here and should have gone home a long time ago? If deportation is so easy, why hasn't it happened? I mean, she's basically turning Britain into a holding pen for failed asylum claims.
Deportations are up by 25%.
A 30-year delay is not... she's not deporting them. It's just a very slow amnesty, right? The people coming on boats, they're not coming here for citizenship. They're not coming here for the 5-year ILM. Arrival is the point. Because once they come here, they get a 2-year all-inclusive stay in hotels still under her so-called sweeping reforms. And they get full access to everything that they do because they're treated as asylum seekers. When is Labour going to realise that coming into our country on a boat is illegal and it must be treated as such and they must be deported and treated as criminals?
But these are her legal migration policies now. So.
But it also relates to them. And I do remember that when we brought out our ILR, our policy, which is rather similar and it was retrospective,
and that's the key distinction. It's
this is also retrospective because it applies to people who came here who thought they would get ILR within 5 years, and she's pushing it to 20. So my question to you, Bill, why is reforms policy racist? And the whole Labour conference was based on racist. I think she said it was worse than racism. I think West Streeting doubled down on its racist. So did Keir Starmer. Why is ours racist and this one not?
Because you would have retrospectively...
So is this...
No. It is not retrospective.
Yes,
for
it is. She said it's people that are still here.
No. It's for people who have not yet got indefinite leave to remain.
Okay.
Yes, they'll be affected. You would have affected, in your policy proposals, people who've already gained indefinite leave to remain. And I think that's fundamentally wrong, that people who played by the rules then have the carpet pulled from under them. We're not proposing that. But you talk about the end of the use of hotels. The government is committed to ending the use of hotels.
They've signed contracts up to 2029 with hotels.
Yeah, and we're going to end it by the end of this Parliament. And you can already see within the press, you know, military camps that are being looked at to house asylum seekers. And you talk about deportations. The reality is that deportations of failed asylum seekers, foreign criminals, is up by 25% compared to under the Conservative government.
So can I just interrupt? That is wrong, because they are not forced deportation. They went...
They're a combination.
Yeah, very small were forced, and you know it very well, and so does your party, and you keep pushing this line. They went voluntarily, and that's a very, very big difference. Number two...
And voluntarily is part of the mix.
People with ILR right now, who are waiting to get it within 5 years of being here, expected to get it within 5 years of getting here. They played by the rules, as you say, and now the goalposts have changed. It is retrospective, but somehow you're saying that that's not wrong and that's not racist. Our policy is, if you've been here, you apply for a visa. We're not removing anyone. We apply for a visa and exactly the same conditions that you said that you copied from us, or you claim citizenship. I want to know exactly why that is not racist.
So which set of Shabana Mahmood's proposals do you disagree with?
Oh, a lot of them. I'm not...
No, which ones?
I say, OK, the fact that illegal migrants can come here and stay in a hotel for 2 years, and then it's reviewed. I want them deported immediately. I want, if you enter this country on a boat, you cannot claim asylum. It's simple.
And what this government is practically staying within the purview of the Refugee Convention. And I respect your view. I happen to fundamentally disagree with it. I think the vast majority of people in this country want Britain, in the last resort, to be a refuge for people who are fleeing for their lives. But they want the system to be properly controlled and managed. And that's what the government is trying to do.
Not a refuge for everyone, though. No, absolutely anyone. Look, I just want to come back to what Layla said with regard to it being sort of retrospective. It is really, isn't it? Because one of the policies was that if you've claimed benefit for more than 12 months, then you don't qualify for settlement until, I think it was, is it 15 years if you've done it for under 12 months? And if it's over that, then it's 20 years. So that applies now. So if I've been claiming benefits and I thought that I was going to get ILR because I'd been here for almost 5 years or whatever it is, now it's gone up because I've just been claiming it for more than 12 months.
But the key trigger... Yeah, but the key trigger...
No, but you said... The reason, the difference between why it was a racist policy and why it wasn't was because reforms policies were retrospective. But I'm putting it to you that seeing as the goalposts have moved, it's also retrospective.
The key trigger is getting indefinite leave to remain, and reforms proposals would have hit people who had already gained indefinite leave to remain, who'd played by the rules, who'd come under that set of assumptions, and you rip them up. That's not the kind of Britain that I want to see.
But it's the kind of Britain your party's pushing for, because people came here played by the rules, expecting to get ILR in 2 years' time, and right now, Shabana Mahmood has said that that will not happen if they've claimed benefits or they have a criminal record or whatever condition.
And you agree with that? You agree with that?
Hang on, Bill, you just said that's not the kind of Britain. You don't agree with Shabana Mahmood because you said that's not the kind of Britain you want to live in. Describe to me the difference. Both are retrospective.
The difference
admit you got it wrong.
The difference is when you have got indefinite leave to remain, which is a concrete legal status, you would have retrospectively ripped that up. And I think that's fundamentally wrong.
We would have asked them to apply for a visa. And the difference is, Bill, is that someone, as I said before, we can argue over semantics, but you know the truth, is that someone who's been here expecting to get ILR next year, played by the rules, is completely planned for it. Shabana Mahmood said, I'm sorry, we've moved the goalpost now to 20 years. Basically, it's a holding pen. And what happens during those 20 years? Who supports those people that are waiting to get ILR? Is it the taxpayer? How are they going to live? Where are they going to live? Who supports those 20-year asylum-seeking people while they wait as a holding pen? Who's going to support it?
Well, there's a whole raft of proposals to enable people to work within the economy, and we need a lot of those people to be working so that they can do jobs that are necessary and they can contribute towards the economy.
No, we don't. Listen, we don't actually need that, because basically you've imported foreign cheap labour. You've imported cheap labour that's so cheap that we can't pay them. Jobs don't pay them enough.
We've cut net migration from 990,000 to 345,000.
Yep, so they have to use universal credit.
So they have to use universal credit. Exactly.
All right,
that.
so listen, coming up, nearly 500 new migrant universal credit claims every day as the government weighs up increasing golden goodbye payments for illegal immigrants up to £20,000. How much money is this country wasting?
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good evening. This is Dewbs & Co with me, Nana Akua, keeping me company, my panel, Leila Cunningham and Bill Rammell. Lots of you have been getting in touch with your views. John has said, will the millions of migrants that are given a safe route to Britain be entitled to benefits straight away because they would have been invited by the government to come here? Dave said, Labour keeps saying you inherited this migration from the Tories, but wasn't it Blair who opened the borders. Yes, I mean, that is a very good point. Robert said Mahmood's new immigration rules won't make any difference because Labour will never enforce them. And Lucy said we should allow America's policy. If you come to this country illegally, e.g. boats, lorries, etc., then they never get asylum citizenship in this country. And Samantha said, how are safe and legal routes going to prevent the small boats? Surely those that are not eligible for asylum, i.e. 95% of those coming across the Channel, will still try crossing in a dinghy. All right, well, as we talk about that, record numbers of migrants are now claiming universal credit, with new data showing 472 new claimants every day last month. The total number of foreign nationals receiving the benefit has surged to almost 1.3 million. At the same time, the Home Secretary has ordered officials to test a new voluntary returns pilot based on Denmark's scheme, which offers, listen to this, more than £20,000 to failed asylum seekers and foreign offenders, yes, who choose to return home, arguing it's cheaper than keeping them in the UK. I'm sorry. Won't that just drag a load of people who want to have fake claims, have the claims that they know will be rejected, then ask for money? Now, the news comes as Shabana Mahmood outlined all of those plans. Let's see what my panel think of that. Leila Cunningham.
I think people in this country feel that we're funding everything and everyone, except the British people who pay for it. You know, foreign nationals are taking up to 8 billion from universal credits. Meanwhile, we're so scared of tax rises, and Reform has issued a plan. You know, stop giving away billions abroad. We're giving 13 billion in foreign green aid. Stop giving abroad before you come after us. And I think that's normal. The NHS surcharge is so low for foreigners. It doesn't, and we're paying to subsidise their NHS access. And that's the problem, is that Westminster has abandoned the principle that the British state should serve British citizens first. And that's what people feel. They don't feel they're prioritised. They're working harder and harder, getting hammered with tax rises, told the audacity of Rachel Reeves to say, everyone has to do their bit, but the government never does their bit. People are working harder than ever. Inflation is up at 4.5% for food and groceries. And we're still funding foreigners claiming benefits and sending money abroad. Why, Bill?
Well, universal credit numbers for migrants have exploded because of the massive number of migrants that have come in predominantly under the Tory years, and we're trying to get a grip on that. Also, there's not a direct read across from claiming universal credit and being unemployed. Half the people claiming universal credit who are people who are in work, and that's for migrants and it's for British citizens. If we come on to the issue about making payments to failed asylum seekers to leave this country. And this is drawn on the experience in Denmark, which has actually brought asylum claims to a 40-year low. So we should look at what works internationally. And the concept is it costs about £30,000 per migrant to keep them in this country per year. Under successive governments, there's been a payment of up to £3,000 to get them quickly and voluntarily, once their claim has failed, to leave the country. That can save you significantly in year and for succeeding years, and I think we should actively explore that. And what Shabana Mahmood has said, she wants to look at options of increasing the £3,000 to make it genuinely attractive to remove people more quickly and not years of delay with legal challenges.
How would that really be a disincentive, though? Because, OK, so I'll pay a couple of grand for my Channel crossing. I get over there, then they refuse my asylum, which I probably expect them to or not, and then then they'll give me 20 grand for me to go.
Well, we're not saying 20 grand. Denmark pays 20 grand, and it's a very hard-line regime in terms of tackling migration.
Yeah, but how will she's the figures quoted are about 20 grand, pay them more to get them to go, but then I've just made a 17 grand profit if I've paid 3 grand to cross the Channel. It'd be worth my while just doing it just for the cash.
It's for people who've had their asylum claims processed, and we need to process claims more quickly. They have been rejected, but they've still got the prospect of stringing out the process through legal challenges. You make a payment, you get them out of the country quickly, and without those legal challenges. I think that's an investment worth making.
Bill, nothing to lose. Can I suggest something? You talk about that they can extend the claim because of legal challenges. How about we remove the legal challenges? Has Labour ever thought about that? How about you leave the ECHR? Because frankly, it is insulting to the taxpayer. Not only do we pay for their accommodation, food, hotels, and then according to this plan, when they're rejected, we pay them again to leave. Well, it's a kick in the teeth.
I just wanted to clear that up. Part of the plan that she had was that they could put all their claims, only have one claim, but put everything within it.
And that's the point I was just going on to make.
If they have a failed asylum claim, then they should be removed. I thought that's what she's going to do anyway. Why do I have to pay them to remove? Why is the answer always to throw more of the British taxpayers' money at people who shouldn't be here in the first place? We don't need management of illegal migration. We need it to be stopped. Right now, this is management. We don't need it managed.
Right.
No one in this country wants illegal
You're part,
migration.
Layla, of the stop the world, let me off tendency. We live in the real world. If we left the ECHR, one, I think that would be wrong because the ECHR protects British citizens. It doesn't protect the state. But two, it would make it much more difficult to get returns agreements with European countries that we need to be able to deport people. So it sounds fine in principle. It would actually make tackling migration much more difficult, and it's not practical.
Bill, let me just speak to you one second. So you say that the ECHR helps us get returns agreement. We've had the ECHR for over 50 years. I don't see any credible returns agreement with Europe. Do you? Number one.
Well, we used to have one when we were in the European Union, and we deported people under the Dublin Convention.
So do you want to reverse Brexit now, the democratic vote? Is that what you're saying?
That's not the Labour Party's position. Personally, yes, I would like to reverse Brexit.
Because you don't respect democracy, of course.
No, well, look at the opinion.
You think the voters got it wrong.
Look at the opinion polls. 55% of people to 31% regret Brexit because they were sold a pack of lies.
One second, and then you say it protects British citizens. In what sense?
What are the benefits of Brexit
The ECHR was never meant to stop us from deporting illegal migrants. I want to know what protection does it offer to British citizens that we do not have in our legislation already? Let's see how much you know.
For example, the Hillsborough campaigners used the ECHR. A whole host of...
Give me rights. You said that it gives us
Layla, respectful debate means not constantly interrupting somebody. You do. Anybody watching this programme knows that's your track record.
No, hold on.
You are the one who
sorry, hold on. No. We're not having that. You are having a respectful debate. You have different opinions, and if I think it's getting out of hand, I will do that. Thank you very much.
Well, maybe you need to intervene a bit more often.
Bill, hold on. I realise you don't have respect for women, and you have a tendency to yell at me.
Please,
and you have a tendency to... Listen.
Revoke that.
I'm not going to revoke that. What, are you joking?
Yeah, that's a little bit unfair.
But it's true. You are very rude to me.
No, sorry, hold on. We're having a respectful debate here. So I'll be the boss who says what and when.
Can I know?
No, I'm in charge. All right. So, Bill, will you make your point, please? And it would be nice if you just would you apologise to Bill, please, for saying the thing about the women? Because that's just a bit unfair.
That's the impression I get. I'm sorry.
Well, it's wrong, and it is disrespectful. The ECHR does need reform, and again, within Shabana Mahmood's proposals, there's a whole range of practical amendments to Article 8 of the ECHR and working with other European countries to reform Article 3. And if we can do that, I think we will be significantly further forward.
You said that the ECHR gives British citizens rights. Could you name those, please?
I've just given you one example.
You said the Hillsborough Group. Could you name the rights? You said
they have used the ECHR to make claims against the state. They protect the rights of individuals.
You haven't given me one right. You don't know because it's all gaslighting. It actually doesn't give us any rights. You can't name one right that the ECHR gives us over our own legislation. Give me one.
Yeah, but because the ECHR was incorporated into British law so that the cases can be tried in British courts.
No, the ECHR was implemented by Blair to get closer to Europe. We had the ECHR 40 years before the Human Rights Act.
We invented it.
So I want to know what rights will no longer be available to British citizens if we leave the ECHR. That's what you just said. So tell the audience. They should know.
The right to be able to effectively remove people from this country, that if we withdrew from the ECHR, we would not get cooperation and agreement with other countries. That's a practical consequence. So, for example, France returns agreements with France, with the Benelux countries, with Germany, would go out of the window if we withdrew from the ECHR.
OK. Number one, we don't have returns agreements, but
well, we've got a returns agreement with France.
What you mean? The 1,000 in, the 2 out. No. Now you said you were very specific. You said that the ECHR gives British citizens rights. Please name those rights.
And there are a whole host of groups.
Just give me 2.
There are a whole host of groups.
I don't want groups. I want the rights.
There's a whole series.
Give him a chance.
There's a whole series of rights for the individual to a protection of family life, protection against abuse that are given to British citizens when the state takes action against them on unjustifiable grounds, and they can. And groups have used the ECHR to take those cases against the British state. That protects individuals.
So you haven't given me one right that's protected. I'll tell you something. Human rights, we invented human rights. We invented Magna Carta, trial by jury, habeas corpus. We do not need ECHR. Maybe you should read up on the great history of this country and how we taught other nations and we gave other nations human rights. We do not need a foreign treaty to give us human rights. We don't need it to be given to us by a judge in Strasbourg. And frankly, I think it's quite shocking that we have a government, a Labour government and a Labour former minister that believes that it's only due to the ECHR that we have certain human rights, which you still can't name because you keep naming groups. Right to private life is kind of embedded within our culture and within our own legislation. You haven't named one, but that's still the story you're selling to the public because you value international relations more than you value the safety of our country.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. Right. Coming up, public confidence in the UK economy has hit rock bottom, with 0% saying it's in good shape. Is the budget doomed before it's even announced? Stay here, do not go anywhere.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, some drier weather for Portugal over the next few days. Rain will affect parts of the Canaries, in particular Tenerife through Friday. Highs of 19 degrees with overcast skies. Lisbon looking nice and dry, just 10 degrees though, so still fairly chilly. Now the remnants of Storm Claudia moving into the Mediterranean, bringing some persistent wet weather through Friday and into the weekend as well. But if we look to Tenerife, it is looking much drier and brighter by Monday. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We've seen plenty of wintry weather across the UK, whether it's to do with frost, ice or, in some places, snow. Those showers will ease during the next 24 hours, but it stays cold, and where we have seen showers, there's a risk of ice overnight, and ice is the main concern. Slippery surfaces by Friday morning, particularly for the north of Scotland, eastern England, where a few showers continue into the evening. Northern Ireland, West Wales and the far southwest. That's where we've seen these showers coming and going, and with temperatures dropping overnight under widespread clear skies, there is that risk of icy stretches. -2 to -6 Celsius for many, below -10 Celsius for higher parts of Scotland, particularly where we've got some snow cover, but the snow showers will have mostly gone by morning. Many parts of Scotland seeing clear blue skies. Despite the chill, winds will be light, and with the sun coming through, a beautiful, albeit crisp, late autumn morning. Northern Ireland, similar. And for much of England and Wales, it's clear blue skies, but a few exceptions. Some patchy cloud will affect parts of the Midlands into East Anglia in the southeast, and there'll be a few freezing fog patches further west as well, taking their time to clear through the morning. But for many, it's simply a sunny Friday. That is until it turns cloudier across Scotland and Northern Ireland during the afternoon, an approaching weather system marking a change to something very different this weekend. But it stays cold, with temperatures of 6 or 7 Celsius at best in many places. Then, as we go into Saturday, Here's that change I mentioned. A weather front sinks its way southeastwards, bringing spells of rain to many places, particularly during the morning. It stays wet then in the south and southeast into the afternoon. Some sunshine towards the west and north, albeit with some showers, and temperatures recovering. It's going to turn a little milder, although not as mild as it has been recently.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M8 eastbound at junction 13 is restricted due to a broken down vehicle. The M58 westbound exit at junction 5 is closed because of a vehicle fire, with normal traffic expected between 7:15 and 7:30 tonight. A collision on the M1 northbound at junction 25 in Derbyshire has caused 40-minute delays, likely until 7:45. Wiltshire's A36 southbound is blocked by an accident at the A350 north intersection, clearing by 9:15 tonight. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast reports significant disruption at Glasgow Central, and cross-country services are affected between Doncaster and York. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Well, good evening. This is Dewbs & Co with me, Nana Akua, keeping me company in my lovely panel. Reform UK Councillor Leila Cunningham and also former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Now, keep your thoughts and comments coming in. gbnews.com/your say. Lots of you have been in touch with some of those. Let's see if we've had any of those. Yes, let's see. Yes, just a couple here. Mike says the only way is to detain, secure accommodation and deport. Absolutely no right to claim asylum. And Nadia says, is the 20 grand open for British people as well? As I wish I could get out of Britain. The cash would be really handy. Yeah, there's a lot of people that possibly feel that way as well. But, of course, part of the reason is because public confidence in the UK economy has crashed to rock bottom just days before Rachel Reeves delivers her budget. A new poll found that not a single respondent believes the British economy is in a very good state, while 79% say it's in a fairly bad or very bad way. So let's see what my panel make of that. Bill Rammell, can next week's budget offer any hope, do you think?
I think it can, but I mean, in terms of the poll, you know, objectively, the economy is not in a very good state, and it's not surprising that people responding to pollsters say that. But I think the doom and gloom is massively overdone. You know, just to take a few examples, fastest growing economy, albeit much slower than we need it to be, in the G7. For the first time, probably in about 15 years, average wages rising faster than prices.
Highest inflation, yeah.
Yeah, which is coming down, and it's just come down
well, it came
yesterday
down
or
because
today.
Energy prices come down,
yeah.
But it didn't come down for purchasing goods and so on, so forth. So for shopping, groceries, those kind of things, which is what we're all buying right now. So energy prices help that level of inflation come down, but we're still a total outlier.
And we've got further to go, but if you look at the projections, next year we'll be back at the Bank of England's base target of 2%. But we've also got the challenge within the budget, and this is a reality, and I think the Office for Budget Responsibility has got too much influence on budget decision-making, but it has revised productivity under the last Tory government down by 21 billion, and the government is going to have to grapple with that. What we can't have is what happened in the past, where budgets and public spending were not properly financed. So the government is going to have to find ways to meet the genuine desire for people to see more investment in public services, unless we go down the road that the Tories have committed to, of 47 billion unspecified cuts in public spending and an even bigger sum that the Reform Party is proposing. People want investment in public services, particularly in the National Health Service, and this government is delivering that.
But people have 0%. They don't believe that the economy is doing well at all, and that's a YouGov poll. So that's a very respectable poll.
No,
so that can't be all blamed on the previous government or anything like that. And a lot of these things are happening as a result of some of the policies of Rachel Reeves.
And I started, Nana, by saying objectively the economy is not in a very good state. I think that there are things that you can point to of progress being made, but undoubtedly we need more progress to be made, particularly in respect of economic growth.
All right, Leila Cunningham.
Well, I mean, they're going to tax our house, apparently, our the pension, your salary, but still they won't stop wasting money on failed asylum claims, bloated civil service. They want to give 20k handouts to illegal migrants. We're sending 13 billion in foreign aid. You just get the impression that Labour's message is to people, earn less, save less, own less, or else we're coming after you.
I don't think that is the case, but you imply, Layla, that there are easy pickings, pain-free to be made in terms of reducing public spending so that there are no difficult decisions to be taken. We're seeing in local council, and I think in local government, and I think there are about 14 councils where reform is now in control, and you came in with big promises to cut spending, to cut waste and to cut the council tax. Virtually every one of the councils you now control, you haven't identified that waste, and all of them virtually are going to increase the council tax by 5%.
I beg to differ.
No. But Layla, sorry, Labour, not Layla. But we're three trillion in debt, aren't we? And Labour are actually attempting to spend more than we already don't have. And I don't hear any spending cuts. We're not really getting any. They couldn't even get a welfare reform.
Well, I'd wait and watch for the budget, because the statement that Rachel Reeves made in Downing Street the week before last, she specifically referenced the need for ongoing welfare reform, and I think there may be proposals, and we've got the Timms review that came out of the parliamentary debate earlier this year, and I think there will be some recommendations for reductions. But, you know, across the public sector, and it's part of the reason that people voted this Labour government in, there's a massive desire for increased investment in public services, particularly the National Health Service, and that has to be paid for. And, you know, the government is making clear how that's going to be paid for. There are spurious claims that you can pay for it through cuts in public spending elsewhere from Reform and the Tories, and it's not credible.
All right, Layla Cunningham.
Bill, number one, you could not send 13 billion in foreign aid, foreign green aid, no? Shouldn't you take care of your own first? That is one cut that you could do right now. But it's not only about tax. You see, people don't mind paying tax, Bill, if they see their government listens to what they're doing, if they get something back. But right now we feel that we're being bled dry for nothing. You know, everything is broken. Crime is up. Borders are open, we're paying for illegal migrants, you know, NHS is still a disaster, and I don't only blame it on you, I blame it on the previous government as well. People are feeling that you take more from us and we get nothing, so little in return. So I think a lot of people don't mind paying tax because if they see something in return and it's value for money, but people don't feel that right now. And right now, Rachel Reeves she did moot increasing income tax, the first one in decades, and then she didn't. And you just feel that they're coming after everything everything they can tax. They're trying to tax to make up for their failures and their political weakness. You know, we have soon our welfare bill is going to be 100 billion. Yes, you know, they tried to get reforms through, but your backbenchers said no. So basically, we're paying for her political weakness. And I think the country's just had enough. We don't want to just work for nothing.
And I know it's the refrain from Reform and the Tories to some extent that nothing works, but just to take a couple of those examples, the National Health Service, the manifesto commitment in the first year was 2 million extra NHS appointments. Actually, there's been 5 million. Waiting lists are falling, and in other areas we are beginning to make progress. But you don't turn around 14 years of austerity. And let me give you one example: local government, local councils. Their grant from central government is 25% less than it was in 2010. Right, that has consequences.
All right, well, look, the poll says that 0% think the UK economy is in a very good condition, and that is something that I think the Labour Party needs to listen to. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on the up-and-coming budget, and there is a brand new way that you can take part in this conversation by becoming a friend of GB News for free. Have a listen.
Join the community and be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations that you hear us talking about every day in our programmes by commenting on Your Say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. Plus, watch our shows live and on catch-up anywhere, anytime. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by scanning the QR code or going to gbnews.com/friend. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be a part of them.
Yes, come and be a part of it. Be a friend to GB News because we like friendly debate here. But coming up, transgender people could be banned from single-sex spaces due to their looks. What do you make of that? Is it just common sense?
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Good evening, this is Dewbs & Co with me, Nana Akwe, keeping me company till 7, Layla Cunningham and Bill Rammell. Now, transgender people could be banned from single-sex spaces due to their looks. That is according to new guidance provided by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. And all of this amid growing backlash as the public and private sector services and organisations are still allowing trans women to use female-only facilities, despite a Supreme Court ruling that sex is defined by biology and not gender identity. Right, who's going to go first? We start with Layla Cunningham.
Yeah, I read that the Children's Minister says, and I quote, it's a really hard issue to resolve between lots of different competing views. The guidance is very clear. It's about protecting women, full stop, and delaying that is a betrayal to women. This isn't about being cruel to the transgender community. It's about being clear. Single sex spaces exist for a reason. They exist for women's dignity. I don't want to have to look over my shoulder when I'm getting undressed. Safety, and we shouldn't have to second guess who's in the shower with them. But Labour is not yet backing this. You know, Bridget Phillipson, I think, you know, she's had it for 3 months. And frankly, if she doesn't back this guidance, then she's not backing women.
She will back the guidance. I mean, look, the Prime Minister said just last week that the Supreme Court ruling should be implemented in full and at all levels. In terms of the guidance, I'm not going to deny that, you know, judging whether someone is a biological female based on their appearance does give me some misgivings. You know, what if, for want of a better phrase, not using PC language, you had a biological woman who is butch being refused access to a women-only space? However...
No, but sorry, I'm just going to stop you there. That's unlikely to happen because I literally can see if a man is dressed as a woman, and I'd say 99.9% of the time I'm absolutely 100% correct. And also you'd expect some respect from the person who is trans to think, well, I might make women feel awkward, so I'm going to use the third space, which every business has to provide anyway for those who are disabled, or any other space, and that is an enclosed space. I don't get why somebody who is trans would have a problem with using that space. And I think most people who are trans don't have a problem with that.
No, absolutely. But I was going to make the point that, you know, there is a degree of discomfort judging people on their appearance. However, I don't practically think there is an alternative, and that's why I back the guidance. And the problem is there's a whole series of organisations who are currently not implementing the Supreme Court ruling, and that needs to change. You know, the ECHR, the body which is founded on the principle of equality and fairness, consulted 50,000, it solicited 50,000 responses to its consultation. It's developed the guidance. It's with the Secretary of State. It's been there for 11 weeks. Clearly, it needs to be looked at practically. The devolved administrations need to be consulted, but the government needs to get on urgently and release the guidance.
Oh, I don't see what the problem is. I think I just don't get why there is a problem or why there even is a problem. I mean, Leila, they've been given the ruling. Yeah. Some companies and businesses are stalling because they're waiting for the guidance. It's obvious you've been given the ruling. It's coming. Get on with it.
I just don't understand why the Children's Minister said, and I quote, really hard issue to resolve between lots of different and competing views. There's only one biological truth, and there's only one view. A woman is a woman, and that we deserve, and we fought hard for our own spaces. And I don't know what's hard about the Labour Party recognising that. There's no competing opinions, as you say, or views. If they don't recognise this guidance, and let's not forget that Keir Starmer did once say that a woman can have a penis, not all of them, of course, but he did. It's shocking that we have a Prime Minister who denies basic biology. They're excluding women's rights.
Well, listen, this is a tweet from Zach Polanski. He's the leader of the Greens. He says, "This is awful and beyond the realms of what anyone would see as basic decency for human beings. It's awful, not just for trans people, but for anyone who doesn't present with narrow stereotypes of femininity and doesn't want the state policing women's appearance." What are you talking about?
Well, he's fundamentally wrong.
He's wrong. That's the only way you can tell.
The government has made it clear that trans rights do not trump women's rights, and women's safe spaces need to be sacrosanct, and we need to get on and release the guidance.
Well, I think we've found something that we can agree on. Isn't that a nice way to end? Thank you very much, my brilliant panel, Leila Cunningham and also Bill Rammell. I've been Nana Okoye. Up next, it's Farage with Martin Daubney, who's got some incredible things to talk about. Do not go anywhere. This is GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We've seen plenty of wintry weather across the UK, whether it's to do with frost, ice, or in some places, snow. Those showers will ease during the next 24 hours, but it stays cold, and where we have seen showers, there's a risk of ice overnight, and ice is the main concern. Slippery surfaces by Friday morning, particularly for the north of Scotland, eastern England, where a few showers continue into the evening, Northern Ireland, West Wales and the far southwest. That's where we've seen these showers coming and going, and with temperatures dropping overnight under widespread clear skies, there is that risk of icy stretches. -2 to -6 Celsius for many, below -10 Celsius for higher parts of Scotland, particularly where we've got some snow cover, but the snow showers will have mostly gone by morning. Many parts of Scotland seeing clear blue skies. Despite the chill, winds will be light, and with the sun coming through, a beautiful albeit crisp late autumn morning. Northern Ireland, similar. And for much of England and Wales, it's clear blue skies, but a few exceptions. Some patchy cloud will affect parts of the Midlands into East Anglia in the southeast, and there'll be a few freezing fog patches further west as well, taking their time to clear through the morning. But for many, it's simply a sunny Friday. That is until it turns cloudier across Scotland and Northern Ireland during the afternoon, an approaching weather system marking a change to something very different this weekend. But it stays cold, with temperatures of 6 or 7 Celsius at best in many places. Then, as we go into Saturday, here's that change I mentioned. A weather front sinks its way southeastwards, bringing spells of rain